Deputy Director Gail Outen-Monker.
Honorable Miles LaRota, Minister of State in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for disaster preparedness, emergency response. Carl Smith, Permanent Secretary. Captain Stephen Russell, Director of NEMA. Mr. Alex Storr, Chairman for the DRA. Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Shivago Dames, and Mr. Neil Campbell, Acting Director for Local Government, and our ESF representatives, welcome. Good morning, and welcome again to the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, here on Gladstone Road, where we will give a briefing on the Subtropical Storm Nicole. This system is being closely monitored by the Met Department and NEMA. And we now share our findings with you as follows. Our speakers to follow up for today, we will start with the Honorable Miles LaRota, Minister of State.
Good morning to the press and to the wider Bahamian community. Earlier today, I was briefed by various government agencies, in particular Captain Stephen Russell of NEMA, Acting Director Neil Campbell of Local Government, accompanied by Ms. Poodle. We got a briefing from Ms. Wilmot Miller from the Royal Bahamas Defence Force, Assistant Commissioner Dames from the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Mr. King from the Ministry of Works, Mr. King from the Med Office, and I think Mr. Moss from Tourism, and was it Newbold from Social Services, who would have given us the latest briefing with regards to Subtropical Storm Nicole. This storm in particular, in its path have Abaco and Grand Bahama, and we know since Dorian that those communities are still reeling, and we hope and pray that God's mercies be extended. However, the community should be aware of the storm, its impact, and you would hear briefings from members of our team. I would like to say that I came in from Grand Bahama this morning, where I was supposed to meet with Administrator Ferguson. They had a meeting for 10 o'clock, but suffice to say, I had to come here. I would like to say before the briefing start that there is some concern that was expressed to me. The NEMA team is responsible for the information as it relates to the storm. Captain Russell would be the spokesman for that. The government agency responsible for the dissemination of information by law is BIS, and that is not to say carriers cannot carry that information, but let the source be from NEMA as it relates to the storm, and also BIS. We have Executive Director Swan here, and I think Matt Mora would be the contact person at BIS if you require information outside of that. And so, without further ado, I will turn it over to those presenters. Thank you.
We now have the Met Office, Mr. Arnold King, who would give us a briefing on where the storm is at this time. Mr. King? We'll also have a translator who is going to translate as you speak so that our...
Good morning, everyone. Nicole remains a subtropical storm. However, we have a hurricane watching effect for the Northwest Bahamas, and that will include the islands of Grand Bahama, Abaco, Bimini, the Berry Islands, Venutra, and of course New Providence.
Bonjour tout le monde. Je dis, il y a un cycle dans la Bini. Il y a besoin tout le monde qui est dans l'island avec Freeport, Grand Bahama, Abaco, Venutra, Nassau, avec Bimini. Pour Pario, pour cycle là.
Okay, the hurricane watch means that hurricane conditions could affect the Northwest Bahamas, the islands of the Northwest Bahamas within 48 hours. However, we're also asking residents in the Central Bahamas to continue to monitor this system because further advisories may be necessary later. Thank you. All right, at 10 a.m., as you can see on this map, this Monday at 10 a.m., the maximum sustained winds of Nicole was 45 miles per hour.
Quand ça c'est côté cyclone arrière, cyclone rated Nicole, depuis lundi at 10 heures.
Nicole is moving toward the northwest near 9 miles per hour. With this motion, with a decrease in forward speed, is expected later today, and a turn westward or west-southwestward is then forecast Tuesday or early Thursday, as you can see from the graphic. We expect winds to be, well, as Nicole moves through the Bahamas, we expect the wind speed to increase and for it to become a hurricane. That's okay? Finish go? The wind field is fairly large. It extends outward up to 275 miles. So we've got a very large wind field. We expect rainfall between Wednesday and Thursday to be 2 to 4 inches with local maximum amounts of up to 6 inches.
Mercredi avec jeudi, je pensais on peut la pluie à venir là.
Storm surge amounts of 3 to 5 feet is expected as well. We also expect it's possible for waterspout and tornadic formation. So we are asking residents in the Northwest Bahamas to prepare for possible hurricane conditions and possible tornadic activity. Next alert will be issued at 2 p.m. today. Any questions?
So, sorry, Jasper Ward, Nassau Authority. The red dot showing Category 1 hurricane on Wednesday, is that on Grand Bahama?
Yeah, that's on Grand Bahama, yes.
So it's expected to hit
Well, they expect it to hit Grand Bahama, so hurricane, yes.
What kind of specific preparations should Bahamians make for tornadoes? Are you preparing for hurricanes?
Yeah, it's so difficult to prepare for that, right? Especially in the Bahamas, right? And the States and other areas there, like basements that they can go into. We don't, so what we do is actually barricade yourself, try to find a safe area in your home, right? Like maybe a hallway in the interior of the house, something like that. But we don't have specific shelters for tornadoes in the Bahamas, unfortunately.
I know you indicated it's expected to hit Grand Bahama as a Category 1 by Wednesday, but a lot of the people in that community are still obviously rebuilding following Dorian.
Yes.
I don't know, any concerns for that island, given the condition a lot of folks still find themselves?
Of course, and I think that's better addressed by NEMA. That would be better, yeah. Any other questions? That's it.
Okay.
The island expected to be hit?
As you can see from the graphic here, now this could change, right? When you see Abaco and Grand Bahama, right? It will be in a direct path. It follows this track exactly. Very rarely do hurricanes follow an exact track. They tend to wobble. So it's possible that, and also that this track will move further downward, or south or north. So the more south, more islands in the Northwest Bahamas will be affected, and more further north, then possibly Grand Bahama and Abaco will be affected by the hurricane. Well, maybe just Abaco, maybe just Grand Bahama will be affected by hurricane possibilities. So there's two ways to tell that there's a lot of uncertainty in the forecast. You can see that corner of uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty as you get further out in the forecast. Yeah, now here's the forecast is pretty certain, but as you get further out this way, over days, it becomes less uncertain.
Uncertain whether Abaco will also be hit.
Well, the hurricane possibilities, yes. We're pretty certain that you're going to be hit with tropical storm possibilities. But will Abaco be hit with hurricane possibilities? That's still uncertain.
Okay, we'll have the speakers in this order, and then we will have the questions following those. So we will have Mr. Neil Campbell, Acting Director of Local Government Following him will be Ms. Andrea Newbold, Chief Welfare Officer from Social Services, and then we'll have the Director of NEMA, Captain Stephen Russell, to follow. So, Mr. Campbell.
Minister, yes, colleagues, friends. As of yesterday, the Honorable Minister Clay Sweeting would have spoken to me as the Acting Director for the Department of Local Government. And during our discussion, he directed me to speak to all of our various Family Island administrators, who are the chairpersons for those Family Island disaster consultative committees. All leave and vacation time were deferred at this time until further notice. And also the city of Freeport, Grand Bahama, they would have initiated the first of their meetings, where they would have met at the Ministry of Grand Bahama yesterday afternoon at 4 p.m. and they subsequently met this morning again at 10. There are other consultative disaster committees that are committee meetings that are being held through the course of the day. And they speak specifically to those areas that may be impacted. We're still waiting the results of those various meetings, and we have no emerging concerns at this time. There was also a press release that was released from our ministry by the hand of our minister to advise those local residents to really work and cooperate with those local persons in those communities, the local leadership. We are confident that the administrators are well trained. They've gone through this many times before. We're going to follow all of the established protocols, and our communications remain open as we work along with our colleagues from the Royal Bahamas Police Force and the Department of Social Services, who really operate and command those EOCs in the respective Family Islands. Open for questions, if there are any.
You may be providing the information on what the next few hours going to look like on some of the Family Islands, like maybe steps the government might take, maybe shore resources.
That's right. As the warnings and the alerts dictate, that is how we move and we act and we respond. So far, it's just in the prep mode where they're meeting and discussing, and they're doing their drive-throughs, looking at drainage, securing property, and really advising Captain Russell of any immediate concerns. Also, we at this time speak to the medical practitioners locally to find out if there are definite concerns that we may have to deal with now because of mailboat flight scheduling and other things, reference to persons who may be pregnant or have other ailments.
Are any special measures being put in place to assist those persons who may have special needs, particularly in Abaco?
Yes, ma'am. I think Captain Russell, when he comes up, he will refer to all those matters. Yes, all right, thank you very much.
Ms. Newbold?
Good morning, everybody. As of Sunday, November 6, 2022, 2:35 p.m., NEMA's lead agency, Department of Social Services, responsible for mass care and shelter, alerted all shelter managers in New Providence, Grand Bahama, Abaco, Eleuthera, Andros, and Bimini. All the officers are standing by and ready to give service concerning shelters and also initial damage assessment. It was brought to my attention that there's a list going around concerning shelters for Grand Bahama, and the gyms are on it. I would like to read the correct list for Grand Bahama shelters right now, please. And those, you have 11 shelters in Grand Bahama. That's
shelter in Grand Bahama.
Bethany Baptist Church. That's Hannah Hill, 8 Mile Rock. Bethel Deliverance Center, Jonestown, 8 Mile Rock. Bishop Michael Eldon School Auditorium, East Beachway Drive, Freeport. Calvary Temple, Small Chapel, Clive Avenue, Freeport, Central Church of God, Coral Road, Church of God of Prophecy, Pinedale, near 8 Mile Rock, Church of God of Prophecy, Seagrape, 8 Mile Rock, Foster B, Christina Hall, Christ the King Church, that's a shelter, special needs shelter, and Sandcombe Drive, Arden Forest, Freeport.
Tout côté ça il just dit, tout le monde qui besoin shelter dans Island Grand Bahama, qui aller là pour shelter.
Okay, Maurice Moore Primary School, Mount Calvary Baptist Educational Building, Seagrape, Revelations Faith Apostle International, Judson Avenue, Freeport, and they the 11 shelters that service Grand Bahama to date. Okay. Any questions concerning shelters?
Can you tell us when the shelters will be activated? When will be activated?
The shelters will be activated as soon as NEMA give us instructions, and that should be by this afternoon. Well, some of the schools are used, so we have to wait till after schools close to make sure they are activated.
D'après après-midi, tout côté ça est ouvert après-midi.
We'll have Captain Russell, and then we'll go into the questions, and we can have some more time for the deep questions that we want. Director?
I stand the protocol, Minister, PS, colleagues, media, Bahamas. Good morning. Can you receive an update from the Department of Meteorology in reference to the subtropical cyclone Nicole? As you can see on the projection here, the proposed projected part at this time, our main concern is as the system approaches Tuesday evening at 65 miles per hour, and then eventually into Thursday at 7 a.m. At some point in time, it becomes a hurricane, and it's crossing across North Abaco to Little Abaco, and definitely across to passing the full length of Grand Bahama. Some areas are definitely vulnerable along this particular part here. Marsh Harbor, if you look at the screen to your right, the light blue water, you can see where that's for Category 1 storm. That is the storm surge potential that is going to be generated for the Marsh Harbor area. That's for Category 1. Again, if you remember Hurricane Dorian 2019, these storms have the capacity to rapidly intensify. Even as a Category 1, we must almost prepare for something higher, particularly as the storm slows down a bit as it makes its path. So definitely Marsh Harbor, Little Abaco, that's our area of concern. Okay? And then as it goes towards Grand Bahama, Sweden's Key, Eastern Grand Bahama, all along the part of Grand Bahama and Western Grand Bahama. So those are our vulnerable areas in this exercise. So we have had discussions already with the team from Grand Bahama in terms of the persons in Sweden's Key. Plans are in motion to evacuate those persons from Sweden's Key. We have done it before for Category 1 storm. We have ferries from Sweden's Key to the mainland, as well as buses, all been arranged to bring persons in from those areas and have them accommodated in some properties on the mainland Grand Bahama. Again, that's for Sweden's Key, and those persons in the eastern Grand Bahama, they're not comfortable with their homes. Again, the plan is to move them from those locations further into the interior in the mainland of Grand Bahama. Okay, that's one of our main vulnerable areas as this Category 1 storm approaches at this time.
Quand il y a dans jour jeudi, avec mercredi, il y a tout le monde qui était dans Island of Freeport, Abaco, il y a besoin pour parer pour cyclone depuis jeudi avec mercredi.
Okay, as the Met Department has announced, hurricane watches have been already issued, and that's 48 hours before the possible impact. Okay, evacuation orders are going to be issued later this afternoon once you see the 2 o'clock advisories, and thereon. announce when we want the evacuations to commence, okay? But definitely as you approach the warning phase, which is some 36 hours from impact, shelters should be activated and evacuation should be well in play in that particular area. Another vulnerable area for the Marsh Harbor area, let's go back. Marsh Harbor, you're all aware that we have some 100 or more RVs that are throughout Grand Bahama that persons are living in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian. With a Category 1 storm approaching those areas, we don't want no one living in RVs or even in the domes that are on people's personal properties.
Mon qui était dans Marsh Harbor, il pas besoin de qui était là les mercredis venir dans avion avec machine. Il besoin tout le monde pour aller à l'autre côté.
Okay. So again, Sweden's Key, Eastern Grand Bahama, definitely Marsh Harbor, the domes, as well as persons in the RVs. We need persons to evacuate when the order for evacuation is announced. Again, the migrant, you're also mindful of, you heard in the media reports over the past several weeks that a new migrant community has exploded in Marsh Harbor from 50 acres to 200 acres. Again, our aim is, based on the projected power of the storm, we may urge persons in those vulnerable areas in that community to evacuate and go to some safe locations.
Tout le monde qui était dans Marsh Harbor, tout haïtien a besoin
de farm.
Qui est les femmes, des femmes, ont besoin pour évacuer depuis mardi, comme c'est.
Okay. The local team in Marsh Harbor and the Abacos will advise as to where the shelters are, that those persons who are evacuated in Abaco that they can go to, okay?
Peter, you have to qui côté où aller pour shelter, so it's in Marsh Harbor.
Okay, so that's our basic concern now, those vulnerable areas. And the aim is to safeguard persons' lives and eventually see how they can safeguard their properties as best they can as this particular storm passes or nearby their areas. Our final area of concern is the Western Grand Bahama. For years, you've been hearing of storm surge impacting the Western Grand Bahama. That is mainly because north of West Grand Bahama is the Little Bahama Banks, shallow waters. And once you have a major storm or any storm passing that area, surge is generated because of the low shelf from the ocean to low water, and eventually that's what washes across the western area. We expect a king tide, and then eventually a high tide, and the surge being generated from that storm, you can have quite a bit of water, probably up to 7 feet of water coming across the western Grand Bahama area. So we want persons in those areas to be mindful that that is a vulnerable area, and once the order to evacuate has been issued, we need persons moving in a timely manner. I know the bridge between that area, the Fishing Hole Road that has been repaired, but we need persons who may have to traverse that area to make plans to move in a timely manner if they're coming from West Grand Bahama into the city of Freeport. Those are vulnerable areas along the path that we need persons to be mindful of as the system is approaching.
Tout le monde qui est dans Freeport, il a besoin d'un pile globe vini, il a besoin 7 feet, so il a besoin d'évacuer, il a besoin d'évacuer immediately.
Okay, again, members of the press team here in the Bahamas, the government system, the government mechanism is unready. It all boils down now to individuals in the communities that are likely to be impacted to make your final plans and preparations for the system that is approaching. Further afield, I've been in contact with our regional partners, SEDEMA, the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency. The whole disaster mechanism for the region is on standby in the event the Bahamas makes a request for assistance. But again, we're stressing upon you, your household level, the sector level, your business level, to make sure you have plans in place to secure your property so you can weather the storm as best you possibly can. And once the all clear is given, then you are better off by having secured your property as best you can. Again, when the all clear is given, that's another key area of concern. The Med Department and NEMA will announce an all clear. That means the tropical storm force winds or hurricane force force winds no longer pose any threat to any sector of the Bahamas. But you must also give yourself some time to allow the local emergency responders in the islands that are likely to be impacted to do their reconnaissance of the impacted areas before an official all clear is given for persons to move about the islands. And that has to come from your local island in collaboration with NEMA. Okay, we'll say when it's safe for emergency responders versus the ordinary citizens to move around those communities. We don't want persons going around when we have down power lines, water flooding the roads, and you cannot differentiate where the road part is versus where water may be on the side of the road. So we ask persons, once the all clear is announced, to give some time to hear from your local community that emergency responders have announced that it's all now safe for persons to move about in the various communities. Again, media, colleagues, Bahamas, that is our brief overview. I can receive some questions if there are any.
So you're saying that you want evacuation to take place in East Grand Bahama, the Sweeting Sea, and the shanty towns on Abaco. We had a situation during Dorian where people just refused to leave. What happens if that's the case in this storm?
Again, there's the issue whether we're going to look at it carefully, whether the government will officially announce mandatory evacuations. Even this is the initial press briefing. Definitely before we go into the warning phase and we look at the changes that may occur with this particular system, again, the minister and even the acting prime minister, they will come and make a final appeal to the country like we normally do to urge persons to leave certain areas. Okay? Again, we cannot go manhandling yacht persons off. I cannot ask emergency responders to go yacht persons from areas that have been declared evacuation zones for mandatory evacuations. Okay? But we can encourage persons as best we can through their family members. If all else fails, we just simply have to say, look here, let us know who's your next of kin. We cannot go wrangling with persons to move. We've been through this many years over and repeatedly. People seeing the damages coming from these storms. We're losing lives because of the storm surges coming from these systems. We don't have time to go and trying to beg and plead for persons to move. I cannot send back emergency responders after you will refuse and change your mind. We come to the area one time to say it's time to move. If you don't want to go, just give us your next of kin and the team must move on. That may seem harsh, but that's the reality now, okay? These storms become more frequent and more severe. We can't take it as lightly as some persons may think it as in the past. We're losing lives because the persons and their stubbornness. A typical example with Fiona, we sent an aircraft into Meguana. For 21 persons, 10 persons came. Senior citizens have been refused or denied, not denied, but did not come on the flight. And that is concerning. Okay? A major storm is coming. Okay? And we're trying to get people out of harm's way. You can imagine the storm would come a bit more to the west, and we have senior citizens in Meguana couldn't come out. So again, we're making this appeal now. Once the warnings for mandatory evacuations or evacuations are announced, we urge persons to move because we're trying to arrange for buses or ferries to bring persons from point A to point B. I cannot send a ferry back at the last minute because somebody changed their mind. One shot and we're moving on. Ma'am? Any questions, please? Grand Key, yes. Grand Key, yes. Little Abaco. Grand Key has to, yeah, that we'll have to look at the evacuation of Grand Key as well, yes. Okay, thank you for the update on Grand Key. Again, Bimini has a small sandbank out there as well. We'll watch the storm as it approaches. If we need to get some vulnerable population out of Bimini, or those persons with medical conditions, we may have to bring them out, okay? Because as it gets past the Bahamas and get into the Florida Straits, that deep water, they can even intensify a bit more before going into Florida umbrella. Okay, well, and if we need to move persons, we have to look at that timeline and get in persons from the Bimini area if necessary. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing else?
So how long before we know if mandatory evacuation is set?
Again, we will continue to monitor the system up to the night. If there are any drastic changes, like I said, while we're still in the watch phase, definitely before we go, as we go into the watch phase, the warning phase, which is the 36 hours, our plan of action should not be trying to finalize some things, okay? And we also need to be mindful of the fact if you're moving persons by flight, when airports are closed down, we're going to look and see how New Providence will be likewise impacted. If we find that winds impacting New Providence up to 45 miles per hour or 40 miles per hour, the airport here closed down as well. So all that is being considered as well. If schooling in those areas, again, education, we can advocate with education as well, and they make the announcement in reference to schooling in those areas as well. But that's going to be done within that 36-hour warning period, okay? Any other questions, queries, or concerns? Sir, anything final? Yes? Campbell, anything else? Director, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, that brings us to an end, but we want to encourage persons to always listen to the Bahamas Department of Meteorology as it relates to the storm and to stay into close contact as it relates to that. We thank you, our officials on NEMA, for being here, and we would like to thank all of you for being here with this report. With that, we bring this press conference to a close. Thank you.